rapper singer Andre Weston from Daz Effects. That's all I know is Daz Effects. They want effects. He turned 52. So that's it. Nothing really, nobody that seemed interesting that jumps out the page onto me. What about history? We got music history. They got all kind of stuff on this sheet. Soul Man by Sam and Dave. To Stir with Love by Lulu. And How Can I Be Sure by the Young Rascals all entered to the top 40 charts on this day. Yippee. Al Green and Patti LaBelle make their Broadway debut. How about that? Your arms are too short to box with God. You got that right. Arms are too short to box with God. How about that for a name? So anyhow, also what else I got? Some interesting news article, right? How about some percentages? We know that the value of homes is going up like 21% right now. Wow. So even our house, when we bought our houses, it increased significantly. And you know it's temptation to sell it too, because you want that money in your pocket. 21%. This was just in the past year. The mortgage rates and went up 2022. So the best real estate markets, these are the places that have the best real estate markets, most attractive places, right? We're going to start with the top 10. Richardson, Texas, Peoria, Arizona, Denton, Texas, Gilbert, Arizona, Cary, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Austin, Texas, McKinney, Texas, Allen, Texas, and Frisco, Texas. So those are the areas with the best real estate markets. Mm, that's interesting. So here's the areas with the worst real estate markets: Peoria, Illinois, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Shreve, Louisiana, St. Louis, Missouri, Hartford, Connecticut, Cleveland, Ohio, Richford, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Columbus, and then the place with the worst market is Baltimore, Maryland. Whoa, I can understand that. Every time I think of Baltimore, Maryland, I think of The Wire. All they got is a bunch of buildings with uh, wood on it, vacants. Yo, man, they living in the vacants. Dang, it's about time for me to watch The Wire again. I usually watch it once a year, man. I don't know why. I just like watching it. So, the states with the most underprivileged kids. These are top 12 states with the most underprivileged kids. So, and the reason I'm telling you this list, so if they send you uh, a notice, you get it in your email or even on the commercial saying, because we used to get all them commercials a lot, send money to help a kid, and we used to get it all, and there was never none of the kids here. There was always the kids from out of the country. So here are the top areas with underprivileged kids. Starting number 12 is Nevada, in Arkansas, Kentucky, Arizona, District of Columbia, Montana, Oklahoma, Louisiana, New Mexico, Alaska, West Virginia, and Mississippi. Them are the top places. So listen, man, again, I hope you guys is having a wonderful Friday. We doing good. I had to spend a lot of time the past couple of days with God's favorite baby, Elijah. He is 9 months now, and he is getting big every day. And I tell you, he is just getting into everything now. He's more into walking than he is into crawling at this point. So he definitely keeps us on our toes. So just to, we gotta now I gotta go and get all these gadgets and stuff to put over the some of the cabinets, and so he can't open the door and smash his fingers and stuff like that. I'm old school. Sometimes, when you old school, you learn yourself. If you touch the oven when it's hot, you get burned. That'll teach you itself. So, but mama don't want that. She want me to make sure I put all the stuff up that so he can't open the cabinets or hurt his finger or anything like that. So I'll be doing that probably within the next couple of weeks or so. Because my boy walking around all the time now. So all right, man, I'm gonna go ahead and drop this intro. Somebody told me it was too long, but that's okay. I'm gonna drop it anyway. I'm gonna drop this intro when we get back. We're gonna get into these relationships. Yes, sir. I'm telling you, if you want to have a healthy, happy, awesome marriage relationship, you need to keep it locked right here. I'm gonna give you all the characteristics, everything. I'm gonna give you all the tools to make sure that you go into these relationships, or the relationship you have now is going to be top of the line. So stick with me right here on the Impact Podcast Show. It's your boy Coach A. What a nice crowd. It's a nice crowd out there. Appreciate them. Thank you. Thank you. So, first of all, I got to change the stuff on my intro. It still say Thursday, and it is not Thursday. It's Friday night, 7 o'clock. Couple announcements. This segment is brought to you by the uh, Impact radio station. You have to tune in to the Impact radio station, www.4mpact.com. Is the world's #1 in inspirational hits and motivational hip hop. It's the positive station. I'm telling you, it's music without the mess. You tune in there if you're at work, if you're driving, whatever you got going on, tune in and take a listen. It's dope music, man. And it's a huge variety too. So you don't really get stuck in one genre. It is the majority of it is hip hop, but you still get some R&B. You still get some Caribbean music, and it's a lot. I love it. I listen to it every single day, and I'm telling you, it helps no matter what you got going on. So make sure you stay tuned in to that. What's up to my brothers? Willie Howard chimed in. That's my boy. Jimmy, Coach A, what's going on? I love you guys, man. Y'all welcome to jump on, man. Let me know if y'all want to jump on. Y'all know how to send me your email and I can pull y'all in. I know y'all got computers, or I can call you on the phone. Either way it go. But we talking about healthy relationships. So first of all, this is very important. Now I've been through a bad relationship before. And so, I know what it's like to, and I'm sure many of you have. And so what I had to do was I had to seek wisdom. I had to seek wisdom and understanding, because I wanted this last relationship, this last marriage to work. I didn't want to go through. I was a little fearful, and a little skeptical of getting a divorce or going through that again. So I made sure I read several books, and we also did counseling, and we read a book together. And so I was able to learn a lot of the problems that I had in the past, of not being able to, first of all, understand how to relate to women. I think a lot of our problems, and we'll go into this, a little more, is that we view the world and other people through our own lenses. Like we might receive or communicate, a certain way, but our partner receives and communicates a different way. And so by us thinking that they want their stuff packaged the same way we do is where we create conflict, because everybody is different. And so I think that that's part of the problem. And again, the bigger issue, that you cannot have a country, right? You can't have a country without states, and then you can't have states without counties, and without neighborhoods, and all these neighborhoods, they're made up of individual families, and all these, and that's the very core of our country, of our society, is the family structure. And a lot of times when there's a problem going on in society, you know, murder, theft, prison, things of that nature, we've been dealing with that for a long time. And I believe that core problem or that core issue is this family structure, you know, and we notice that it comes out of, you know, a lot of times from fatherless homes, or, you know, not even just fatherless homes, but just separation itself, you know, from people being married and trying it and not knowing how to relate with one another and splitting up. That's traumatic on kids. That's traumatic on the development of kids as they continue to grow. And so as that what happens is when you have that, so and just think about it, the divorce rate is like over 50%. And it doesn't matter if you in church or not, this divorce numbers doesn't change. And so just think that divorce rate being so high, there's a lot of damaged people out there, a lot of damaged kids. I know we look at kids as, you know, as resilient and they bounce back and stuff like that, but in actuality, it actually has a huge lasting impact on them. Traumatic experience just from divorce and separation. And so that's part of the reason why, you know, I wanted to just to share some knowledge on this from my experience, and, you know, and where I'm at right now and what's helped me, and this may be able to help you, you know, because my relationship now, my marriage now is awesome. Shout out to Shakina Mays, Miss Mays. She's amazing. Amazing. Hey, I just thought about that. That was good. She's amazing. So, but she is. And so, you know, a lot of that too. Now, that doesn't say that we didn't, you know, we don't have our struggles or we didn't go through anything. But once you begin to understand some of the fundamentals or the characteristics that needed, and that's what I want to talk about first, right? I want to talk about just some of the characteristics or the design, you know, of a healthy relationship, a healthy marriage. And so, you know, when I talk about characteristics, meaning in order to have a healthy relationship, you have to have these fundamental characteristics inside it. And that's what we're talking about. First thing, you know, we're talking about faith and hope. Very important to have faith and hope. And here's the next one, trust in God. Definitely. Definitely. So the reason is that these is important, you know, number one, obviously God instituted, he created it in the beginning. He created man, he created woman, he put them together, he built the first marriage. So it doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. You know, some people out there, oh, I don't believe in God or I don't believe in religion. That's fine. You know, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably don't believe in Henry Ford, or, you know, or the any of the other inventors, the Wright brothers, when it comes to the airplane, right? You don't believe those, but I guarantee you, if you don't follow their instructions, if you don't follow their fundamentals, then if you have a car, you're going to damage it, right? Or if you up in the plane, you could kill you, you could die. So whether you believe in that or not, you have to believe in the fundamental instructions in order for those things to function properly. And so that's where God is important, because he left us instructions on how to relate to one another and how to, you know, to have a healthy relationship. And so rather, if you believe in God or not, you can definitely learn from his instruction. And if you look at any healthy, thriving relationship, I can guarantee you that they are that full of these characteristics that we're going to go through. Yeah, and there's a lot more characteristics out there. I just put together a few just for us to go over, for sure. So faith and hope and trust in God. And faith, you know, just to talk briefly about faith and hope, you have to, no matter what you're going through, you always got to have faith that the next step is going to be better, that is going to get better, that is going to work out, and everything is working good for your favor, or working out for your good. You have to have that faith, and faith is that's what the hope is, that it's going to turn around. But the faith is a mindset. So that means you have to constantly realize that no matter what you're going through, it's seasonal and it's going to get better. And so that's the reason I put faith and hope. And these are not in particular order, with the exception of God's instruction, right? And so think about it. The foundation of a healthy society, we talked about that, is having a healthy relationship. And so again, we're talking about the foundation of having a healthy relationship, or foundation of having a healthy marriage. And so the next thing I would tell you is patience. Patience is very important. And so just think about it. Everything has a gestation period, right? Everything. So if you take a seed and you put a seed into the ground, the seed has a certain gestation period where that it goes through. It receives the nurture and everything that it needs, and so eventually it turns into a tree. So you don't put a seed into the ground one day and then you go out there the next day looking for a tree, right? that's not that's not realistic. And so we have to have patience and understand that our relationships are the same way. Relationships go through a gestation period where it's working towards a beautiful, healthy end. But if you don't, again, have your faith and hope and understand that this is just a season that you're going through, then you could damage that relationship. And so part of the problem, just think about it, we live in seasons, right? We go through summer, and then we go through fall, then we go through winter, and so forth and so on. We go through all these different seasons. So everything has its time. And so what happens, I believe now in society, that we're so mentally conditioned on getting things done fast, receiving things. Huh? We got the Amazon. How many times you order Amazon? I know a couple times I ordered from Amazon and they dropped it off the same day. And boy, I was excited. Like, you don't have to wait 24 hours, right? And so we're conditioning ourselves to want things done or fast, just like from microwave foods or even ordering out. Like, we don't want to wait in line, we don't want to wait at the restaurant, none of these things. So we order ahead of time and make sure everything is done so we don't have to wait. And all we have to do is show up. And once we show up, we just pick up our things. And so what happens is, mentally, subconsciously, that becomes our attitude. It becomes our attitude with everything, is that we want everything to be perfect, and we want it to be perfect right away, right now. We want it to be perfect yesterday when we first got started, and we don't give things the proper gestation or developmental period. Like, I want my son to take out the trash and cut the grass, but he's only 9 months. So he has to go through his time. So it's the same thing with our relationships, that you have to have patience in knowing that in the end, that is going to come to a point, not the actual end, but it's going to come to a point where it's going to blossom, and the relationship is going to be very healthy and even more fulfilling. And and I think that's important to understand, so you won't get ahead of yourself. Not only that, you know how to relate to things that happen in the relationship. Everybody's growing. You're getting used to each other. You're getting used to her ways. She's getting used to your ways. So with that being said, you just continually, not with that being said, with you understanding that everything goes through that period, and you just being patient is very important. So the next thing I would tell you is communication, right? Communication is important, and it's not just talking. Is more so getting involved with, feelings, expressing your feelings, expressing each other's goals, expressing each other's ideas, things that you might like or dislike, you know opening up to your partner. A lot of times, men, we don't open up as much. We might open up to other men sometimes, but for the most part, we like to keep things to ourselves. And so part of having a healthy relationship is making sure that you communicate back and forth, and you give the other person the opportunity to communicate, and you be open and honest, with how you feel about different situations, about, could be your career, could be your job, so that they understand. Because if one person thinks that everything is okay and it's not, then their emotions, their focus is on everything being okay. And that can cause conflict in the future, because in a lot of times when we don't feel like, when we feel a certain way inside and we try to pretend like it's not on the outside, eventually what's on the inside displays on the outside. And it becomes a issue. Like you'll be mad and they don't even know why you're mad. You're just upset at something. And so it's just important that you communicate on a regular basis, just explaining, talking things out, and pouring out your heart. Very important. That's how you that's how you alleviate some of the stress as well, you know, and it makes every person feel secure about the relationship. Next thing I would say, this is an important one too, is staying connected with like-minded people, right? You got to have friends you can trust, and and people you can talk to get counseling, and to get ideas from. So I can relate. You always hear birds of a feather flock together. So when I was out there, you know damaging my relationships, I was hanging out with the people who was damaging their relationships too. It was simple. Birds of a feather flock together. So if I was hanging around a person that wasn't into the same thing I was into, I easily got away from them. That's not what I'm into. Right now I'm into reckless behavior. So I need somebody that's just as reckless as I am. And so that's why it's important that you surround yourself, if you want to have this healthy, beautiful relationship, that you surround yourself around other people that want the same thing. They want to cultivate and have healthy relationships. And so that way you can not only bounce ideas off, but you can communicate, and they can, and you'll just get the support that you need. You'll get the support. Sometimes it's just a relief to know that you're not the only person going through something. I'm telling you, sometimes it's just a relief. You don't need it, it don't even have to change. Sometimes it don't even have to change. Just knowing that you're not the only person that went through this or that's going through this is enough to give you to push you to keep on keeping on. And it also lets you know, again, it reiterates the fact that it's just seasonal, because you have other people that have been through it and they can tell you, man, it's just seasonal. It's going to change eventually. So you got to make sure don't stay focused on this particular season of what you're going through. And so that's very important that you keep those type of people around you. Just think that the mind, we learn from other people, from an influence. That's how it is. When you go to a job, you they give you a certain amount of training in the beginning, but then right after that, you're just learning from watching other people, seeing what other people is doing. Even as a child growing up, my son Elijah is just learning from what he sees. He's learning how to clap when he see us clap, or he learned how to say bye bye when he see us do it. So that's just how the brain operates. It learns from the environment. And so if your environment is not conducive to what you want to accomplish, then it's going to work against you. It's going to definitely work against you. So if you have in that bad environment and have bad people around you, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. So you want to make sure you're surrounded around like-minded people and friends that want to make sure that you have a healthy relationship. The next thing too, I would tell you is very important is purpose. You have to adopt a purpose, a belief that what you're doing is bigger than you. So, and I can't stress this enough, because out of purpose, you receive your discipline, right? You receive your discipline, your desires comes out of your purpose. your passion comes out of a purpose. And so a lot of times people, when they get into relationships or they get married, they're just, their sole purpose is for themselves. Like, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be lonely. Or I get to have as much sex as I want, right? Or I got somebody to sleep with, or I got somebody to split the bills with. So that's not a good reason, because it's more singular to you. What I mean by purpose is meaning that you have to view your relationship as bigger than you, bigger than any one person. Like when I look at my relationship, I look at it like a piece of society. This is a piece that's going to influence society for the better. When I see, murder and, people going to prison and drug abuse and all these different things, I view all that. The cause of that is because at the core, which is relationships, are not healthy. And so I feel like if I create a healthy relationship, then not only will my kids or my son understand and learn from it, but society will too. Society be a much better place if I'm doing my part. So that's why it's important to develop that purpose. So, it doesn't necessarily, have to be a God-given purpose or ultimate like that. But at some point, you're going to you have to view it that way. Because if you don't, then you can easily change. You can easily change. In the beginning, none of my relationships really had a bigger purpose outside of something I just wanted. And so I was able to fumble and mess those relationships up easily, easily because of that. But now my drive is based on what I explained to you, that I have a bigger purpose, something to give to the world. And so now out of that, I've received my discipline and my ideas and my passion. Even to do this podcast, to put out this information, comes is the motivation out of my purpose. And so that's why that's important that we do that. If you don't, then again, you run the risk of something else coming in and just distracting you and taking you away from what it is you need to do. So what is that? Number 5 is purpose. So the last one I got is the bonus one, right? And again, there's probably over 20 different characteristics that you can pull up for a healthy, characteristics for a healthy relationship or a healthy marriage. These are just my top 6. These are just my top 6 that I use, that I implement, in addition to the rest of them. The rest of the things that's out there, to me, falls under these. But the last one is unique. It's called hardening gardening. So I put a special term on it: gardening your heart, not harden, gardening. So when you talk about gardening, it's talking about being in the garden, how you be tilling the ground or doing all that stuff, making it conducive for seeds. And so we have to do the same thing with our heart. We have to garden it, make sure that it's constantly soft and sensitive, because if not, then it becomes hard. And once your heart becomes hard, then that's the beginning of the end, if not the end. And so I just remember some of the stories that I learned in the Bible about a hardened heart. And so basically the hardened heart is insensitive. It's a heart that's insensitive towards, another person, right? You have lack of emotion. So if you can imagine that in the beginning, where you had this beautiful relationship, and so y'all was talking, were you talking and holding hands, and you just couldn't live without each other, right? Every time you see them, you wanted to touch them and kiss them and hold their hands. But then what happens is something happened, and so now you can wake up, two people can wake up and be in the same house and not talk to each other all day. How does that happen? How does two people go from one day they are they can't keep their hands off each other, and then the very next day they don't even care to speak to each other. They just go brush his teeth and get ready for work, and she do the same thing. Shout out to my boy Telly. What's up? It's my other brother. So, and the reason that happens is because you have to understand how the mind works. It's called hardening, is when your heart becomes hard. And that's one of the reasons why the Bible tells us to not let the sun set on your anger. It means don't be angry for long periods of time. If you are, then what happens is it begins to grow like a seed. And so then you can wake up and you get to, and I've been there. I've been there to the point where I've been married for, we was together since high school to 10 years, and then it got to the point where we was just roommates in the house. Like we didn't hate each other, we wasn't arguing at this point. It just, this is just what it was. Like, you know what, until, you know, I can afford to move or you can afford to do whatever, we just, you know, our emotions separate, we just harden towards each other. And so that's why it's important that if you follow these guidelines, these fundamentals, making sure you keeping your faith and hope, making sure you adapt patience and understanding inside the relationship, communicate, you know, and stay connected with like-minded people. If you're constantly doing it, you know what that's called? I call it gardening your heart. So that means you're constantly gardening your heart, and you'll never become hard or insensitive to the other person. You won't let that happen. And and it's guaranteed, because that's how the mind, like I said, that's how the mind works. And so, but you have to make sure, you have to do it intentionally. You have to do it intentionally. And so it's very important that we do that. And so a lot of people don't, you know, by you not understanding your own mind and how it operates, you can sabotage. They call it self-sabotage, right? By you being upset. I know sometimes sometimes you right, and the other person is wrong, and you know it, and you're not going to budge. But again, if you don't view your relationship as a bigger purpose, then you can easily stick to your guns and just not reconcile and just be like, you know what, I know I'm right. They're gonna have to come and apologize to me. And so it's not easy. You gotta swallow your pride, but for the sake of the kids, for the sake of to me, the sake of the nation, you know, and everybody that's watching, if you want to end a marriage, I'm telling you, you have to do it. You have to do it. That's one of the biggest issues when it comes to relationships, is not knowing how to just come back to harmony, is what I also call it. Come back to harmony at any cost. Swallow your pride. No matter if you right, no matter if who's wrong, who's right, no matter what the situation is, you have to learn how to swallow your pride and come back to a harmonious relationship. If you practice and continue doing those things, then your relationship would be super healthy, just like mine, super healthy. And that's one of the things that I'm very happy about when it comes to my wife, is that, you know, sometimes she'll be the first person to just say, you know what, you know, I'm sorry, or this is how I felt. And, you know, I don't, you know, I don't want to be like this, you know. Let me see, let me put this comment up. Telly say the question is, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? That's right. I'm telling you, that's absolutely right. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Happy and healthy is what you rather be. And that's all it is. That's all it is a choice for you being wanting to be upset or wanting to be angry. So sometimes I tell myself that too. Sometimes I tell myself, like, you just want to be upset. You need to go fix this. You need to go change. You need to, you know, cut that attitude. This ain't conducive. How you gonna go talk on the podcast? How you gonna give somebody some advice and you ain't even doing it yourself? You need it. That ain't right. Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you have to do it. And so again, just to to go over those characteristics for having a healthy marriage, cultivating a healthy marriage and long-lasting relationship. We talked about faith, love, and trusting in God because He the one created it in the beginning. It's not a matter of believing in God, which you should. I recommend it. But however, just like I explained, He created the instructions on how to have a healthy marriage, right? Just like the Wright brothers and flying, right? Ford Motor Company when it comes to cars, the Tesla guy, whoever he is, you get those instructions and make sure you know, uh, follow those instructions, because of how the car is put together. So you have to do the same thing with your marriage. You have to do the same thing with your marriage. You got to follow those instructions, right? Next thing is communicate. Patience was the next one. Communication, making sure you communicate your feelings, the truth. Don't just feel upset or be upset about something. Make sure you let them know respectfully. Communication has to be respectfully both ways. Staying connected, very important. This is overrated, but it's very important. That's right, effective communication. Very important that you stay connected with like-minded people. That's one of the things that I'm very happy that I found a group of brothers that we're like-minded. We about our families, we about, changing the world, in our little ways. And that's what we do. We're about being married, getting married, whatever that situation is. And that's priceless. We just continually sharpen each other by communicating and talking. And so it's very important. And just coincidentally, you can chime in on us every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. at the barbecue. That's right. It's family talk. Right, we there every Saturday morning. Great addition to your eggs, bacon, pancake, whatever you eating in the morning. You definitely want to tune in on us. Find us on YouTube for sure. And so, in fact, we got some good topics coming in tomorrow. You definitely want to chime in. I'll be there. Right. Communication, stay connected to like-minded people. We just talked about that. And then purpose, finding a bigger purpose for what you do. That's important. It's overrated. Making sure that when you view your marriage or this relationship, that it's just not a singular thing just for your personal pleasure. No, it's not what it's for. Is actually a bigger purpose, the reason you're in this relationship, whether you believe it or not. But if you believe it, it's going to help you. And then again, gardening your heart, making sure that you follow these things that I mentioned, the faith, the patience, on a regular basis, and your heart will never become hardened towards your partner, towards your wife or your husband. And that's because once it becomes hardened, boy, it is hard to go back. Not very many people can go back once it becomes totally hard. And it's not, and I don't mean like disrespectful, like you cussing them out or you doing this and that. No, just a simple hardened heart where people call it growing apart. That's what most people call it. Like, we just grew apart. Well, the reason you grew apart is because you allowed those negative seeds to grow and entangle that special relationship that you have. And once you allow those weeds to come in, I'm preaching now. Once you allow those weeds to come in and grow and entangle the flowers and the beautiful fruit and all this stuff that just relationships have, it'll choke it out like this. And then pretty soon you don't like them no more. I'm just telling you, that will happen. That will happen. And so you want to avoid that. Definitely want to avoid that. And so, anyways, next thing we want to talk about, we want to get into some differences between men and women's needs. This is important. Let me see what my boy Jimbo say. He said, I agree with what you are saying. A lot of us need to learn how to deal with conflict as well. Absolutely. Conflict resolution between couples is important, and it starts with knowing how to control our own personal actions and emotions. You can have conflict and have a discussion, but you don't have to be disrespectful. You don't have to get loud. You don't, and if you learn how to do that, then that'll make sure you have a healthy relationship. Again, like I mentioned, there are probably 20 to 40 different characteristics that all involved having a healthy relationship. Oh, hello, cousin Jeanette. Yeah. Jeanette, you got your phone on you? You gonna make me call you. You lucky my phone just died. Dang it. I was finna call my cousin Jeanette. I miss her and I love her and my girl. Anyway, now we're talking about, let's get into some differences between men and women. And why is this important? It's important that we understand that, some of the different needs between men and women. Again, like I mentioned before, that if you're looking at your partner and you're judging them from your personal perspective, you're going to create a conflict, because the way they accept love or give love or the things is different than the way you accept it or give it. And we have to understand that. And so once we understand each other's needs, then now we can give each other's needs. And to give you example of why it's important, right? So if you have a fish, right, we know that the basics behind the fish is that they have to be in water, and that water has to have oxygen flowing inside of it. So you can't just take a fish and put it in the tank and think it's going to live, even though it has gills and it can swim around in water. If there's no oxygen flowing inside the water, hence what the fish needs, then the fish is not going to function, it's going to die. And so that's why it's important that if we understand each other's needs, then we can have a functioning relationship. Women supplying the needs that her man needs, and men supplying the needs that the women need. And so if we do that, then we'll have a functioning relationship, a healthy relationship, and understanding. So that's why it's important that we understand the difference between the two. The difference between the two. That's why I try to get my cousin on here. She's been married for 24 years. Mm, mm, mm. God bless her. She is awesome. I'm telling you. So, but and in order to get to that point, we have to understand. That's a lot of experience there, and that's what I'm working on too. So mine is so that's what I want to do. I want to get into some of the differences between, before we get into the specific needs, I want to get into some general differences between men and women. Let me know if this is you or somebody right? So let's get into, I got about maybe 4 or 5 differences. And this is just general, it has nothing to do with the needs. These are just general differences. So women tend to talk things, women tend to take things to heart more than men. Men tend to be a little more impersonal. So chime in, let me know if you agree, you disagree, if that's you, if you know somebody like that or what. So again, women tend to take things to heart more than men, and men tend to be a little more impersonal when it comes to things. I know that's me all the way. That's me all the way. Between me and my wife, she takes a lot of things personal, you know, no matter what it is. And when I mean personal, when I mean by taking things to heart, that means it didn't bypass their mind, and it's in their emotion now. Like it's already full tilt in their emotion. And so with a man, he just thinking about it, he might be like, dang, that's messed up. You want to go get something to eat? Like we don't take it as personal. So I'm cracking myself up. So here's the next thing. How about this? Women are like computers. Their minds keep processing in the background until a problem is solved. But men are more like filing cabinets. They take problems, put them in the file, and close the drawer. Oh man, that is so me for sure. Yeah. Lots of women tend to have more emotion. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I actually had that on my list too. So women are like computers. Their minds keep processing in the background until the problem is solved, Men are more like filing cabinets. They take problems, put them in the file, and close the drawer. Let me know if that's you or not. If you believe that's true or not. That's definitely me. That's definitely me. Put it in the file cabinet and close it. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example of that. Like I could be driving with my wife and the gas, I mean the thing on the gas line, I forget what it's called, the little gauge, right? It'll just be kissing. I mean, just barely kissing the yellow. You know, the yellow, you probably got like at least 20 more miles. So it'd be just touching the yellow on the gas thing. And she'd be like, oh, I need to get some gas. I need to get gas. You need to stop and get gas. I'm like, what? You still got another 50 miles to go. So it's Bible coming in now. And so with me, I can see, hey, in my car, I'm driving, it goes to the yellow, and then it goes down, and then it goes all the way down till it get to the white again. When it get to the white, you really need to get gas. And so when it get to the white, by then it's already in the filing cabinet. I'm like, I need to get gas, but I didn't close. But the problem is when I close the drawer of the filing cabinet, I forget. And so what happened was one morning I had to go somewhere and I went out to the car and I started it up and it just cut straight off on me like burn. I had to run and get some gas. And she was like, see, I told you. I told you. So yeah, women are like computers. Their minds keep processing in the background until the problem is solved. Men are more like filing cabinets. They take the problems, put it in the file, and close the drawer. And once the drawer is closed, oh, shout out to Mama Debbie. She said she think men are good problem solvers. Yeah, we are. We are. That's how we're wired. Okay, here's another one. A woman's home is an extension of her personality, what she likes or dislikes, what moves her, and the same and a man's job is an extension of his personality. So I feel like that's true. I feel like it could be true for both. It could be true for both. Like, you can tell a man's personality based on his house. But I think a lot of times with men, it can be you got to really know how to read them, because women, they probably keep their house clean based on their personality. They keep it clean all the time. And the man, he could be a little lazy. Like he ain't gonna clean until you call and be like, "Yo, what are you doing? I'm on my way over." He'd be like, "Oh man," so he had to hurry up and clean up last minute. Where a woman, she probably already keep the house clean already. So tell me if that's you or not. A woman's home is an extension of her personality, what she likes, what she dislikes, what moves her, and then a man's job is an extension of his personality. I definitely believe that a man's job is an extension of his personality, or at least an extension of his thinking too. Like, sometimes you don't have to necessarily be in the best job at this particular point, but if you there for a long time, then you might have a little drive. Your drive might not be as high. So I don't. That's for another topic for another story. Women have great need for security. Men can be nomadic. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. Is that you? Women have great need for security. Men can be nomadic. Again, I can just relate to me. This applies to me. I remember when I was in, and what I mean by security is women wanted to make sure that everything's set in place. Everything's set in place. They want to make sure that there's no surprises that's going to come around the corner, and everything. Let me see what cousin Jay say. He said, yes, that's definitely facts. But for me, my home represents me, and my husband works hard for me to be happy and comfortable. Happy wife, happy life. Amen to that. So going back to the men could be nomadic. When I was in college, I just stayed with some roommates. I didn't even have a place to stay. Like, I had lost the apartment I was in. We had to move, and so I just moved in with some friends. I was just sleeping on the floor, and I was cool with it. I was comfortable. I didn't, they could have came at any time and be like, y'all need to get out of here, or you need to go move someplace else. And so it was cool. It was actually fun. It was fun for me. So, but I don't think women don't, they're not comfortable in that type of environment. They want to make sure that they're secure, their surroundings. And men, again, tend to be more nomadic. They could just, come and go as they please. They'll find a way. So here's another one. Women tend to be guilt prone, men tend to be more resentful. How about that? Yeah. Cousin Jeanette agrees. Women tend to women security means a lot for a woman. Absolutely. And so next one is women tend to be guilt prone, men tend to be more resentful. So again, why are these needs we're getting ready to go into? We're getting ready to go into some of the needs between both men and women, which is important. So those were just some general differences between men. And of course, they vary with each individual person. You might have some men that are guilt prone, or some men that, their house is an extension of them, or whatever the situation is. It's not the same, but the majority of it, these are lists coming from the majority of women, percentage wise. And so, yep, I agree that I'm not guilt prone. I'm not moved by being guilty or anything like that, but I can be resentful at times. So again, we talking about getting ready to go into the needs, which is important. So why are learning the needs important? So again, like I explained to you before, that if you have a car or a fish, we talked about owning a fish. I used to have a little piranha back in the day, two of them, and they used to just run around eating each other. So if you have a fish, you're trying to maintain a fish, or you're trying to maintain a car, that there's a specific design. Based on the design of the automobile, that's going to tell you what the need is. And so we know that men and women are designed differently, they're wired differently, so therefore their needs are going to be different. And so that's why it's important that we have the right needs when we come to addressing each one of us. And so thinking about that, we addressing that car, if you have a car, and we know that the basic needs of a car is gas and oil, which I had to find out the hard way, right? I had to find out the hard way. The basic needs is gas and oil. If you don't put the gas and oil in, then what happens? You already know. It's going to shut down. The car is going to shut down on you. It's not going to function properly. And so that's why it's important that when it comes to these emotional needs of women and men, that we learn how to provide these needs to them in order to have functioning, healthy relationships. That's where that term comes: happy wife, happy life. So, and it's the same with men. It's the same with men. You got to have a happy husband, happy life. It's the same. So let's get into some of the top emotional needs. We'll start with the women, right? We'll start with right at the top, love. And so which is ironic is that, yeah, happy spouse, happy life. There you go. Both Telly and Jimmy put that up at the same time. Happy spouse, happy house. Happy spouse, happy house. That's it. That's what we corn. That's the phrase we're coining. Oh man, I can't talk. Happy spouse, happy house. That's absolutely right. So let's talk about these top leads. Top one is love, right? Women's need is love. Ironically, when you and again, both both men and women need these have the same needs, but it's just more prevalent. It's more, and when it comes to women and men, there's certain needs that are more prevalent and more critical. And for a woman, it's love. And for a man, it's respect, being respected. And so let's dive in a little bit to that. And so when you talk about love, we're talking about uh, cherishing your wife, right? Caring for her and showing affection. So all that encompasses love. So how do you do that? How do you cherish, make her feel special, right? Not buy expensive gifts, although expensive gifts help, but just by simple stuff like calling, calling and checking on her, letting her know that you love her, right? Hugs and kisses. Before and when I wake up, I got to kiss mine. Yeah, she beautiful and nice. Every day I got to kiss her. Before I leave, I got to give her a kiss on the lips. She know it. She know it. She don't have the biggest lips in the world, but she got more than enough for me. That's for sure. She know that. She gonna get over me about that. You got to compliment them, man. You got to compliment them. Find something to compliment your wife about. Definitely. If she's a good cook, if she's a bad cook, tell her, baby, you tried. Thank you for trying. If she's whatever it is, you have to find something. It might be difficult for some of you, but you know, you can do it. You can do it. Remember, this is part of a need in order for them to function, right? Very important. So, definitely, you can show that she's special through gestures. When you communicating with her, a lot of times, we could show that we're tired or we're not paying attention, or and I have to catch myself too. Sometimes my wife be talking to me and I might be, doing something different, watching the TV, and I had to turn and make sure I look at her and let her know that I'm listening to her and that, she's important at that time. You got to lend that ear when she's talking. And so these are things that to help, again, cherish her, part of showing love, right? And caring. What is caring? All this encompasses love. Caring. This means, that you go out your way to make sure she has everything that she needs, you know. And another thing, getting back to chairs, making sure she feels special, it just reminds me of, when you was during the early dating stages, when you were talking to him on the phone, right? You answered every call. Like when she called you, you answer her call. You don't, send it a voicemail or ignore the call. You make sure you pick up. Like, hey baby, what's up? I've been thinking about you all day. And so you remember when y'all was first dating, boy, y'all would answer the phone like it was oxygen on the other line. It didn't matter what was going on. And whenever you saw that name or that number, you pick up, hello, what's up, baby? Oh, I ain't doing nothing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just at work. I'm up here probably like 50 feet on this telephone pole trying to connect these high voltage wires so the neighborhood could have some more power again. But other than that, I ain't doing nothing. What you up to? You answer that call no matter what. And so you have to make sure that, that's part of cherishing her, making her feel special. Yeah, not the Barry White, you know it. And so then when we're talking about caring, caring, whenever I hear the word caring, it reminds me of God. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because caring is making sure that you go out your way to make sure that they have everything that they need. If your wife likes to cook or she cooks, you make sure there's groceries there. If she, whatever it is that she's doing, you make sure that she has everything that she needs. And then the reason I say it reminds me of God is because before he put humans on the earth. He laid the foundation. He made sure that there was oxygen here. He made sure that there was food here. He made sure that everything was here that we needed before we even got here. Same thing with, think about the fish in the sea. He put the water there, the oxygen, everything, and then he placed the things in there. And so every time I think of the word caring, I think about that's what it means to me, is that I make sure that I provide stuff before she even if she don't even need it, just to make sure she have it. And so I think that's important. And so, of course, we talk about affection too. This is the environment in which cultivates a strong marriage. So, cherish, cherishing your wife, caring for, her, and showing affection. Right, all these things encompasses love, which is one of her major needs when it comes to love. Now, this stuff is important. If you don't want to have a healthy relationship, or then you then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. So another part of it also, financial provision versus quality time. As men, we like to provide, and it does create a level of you know need for women to make sure that they are financially provisioned. And it goes back to that characteristic that we talked about. Women like to feel comfortable. I mean, they like to be secure. And so you might not, she might make more money than you, but just knowing that you out there working and you're adding something to the table brings a level of security right there. So you don't have to be the breadwinner or make the most money, but you should be out there doing something that'll make her feel secure. That helps. And all that goes into part of a need. Remember, this is a need. This is not a request. These are things that women need to function, just like cars need gas and oil to function. This is what women need. And so you have to liken it to the car, where you personally don't like gas, or you personally don't like oil, but you make sure the car has it because you want the car to function for you. And so it's the same principle when it comes to these relationships, is that you want to make sure that you're supplying these needs to your spouse in order for her to be happy. Remember, happy spouse, happy house. See what Cuzzo say. First Telly said we should watch Fireproof. Yep, it is a good movie. It's been a while since I've seen it too. I might have to rewatch it again. And then cousin Jeanette says, yes, men and women want to be loved and cared for. I found out that when we share these characteristics, it builds a powerful house. That's right. So don't, by no means, men don't want love or deserve to be loved. True. But however, we also, because we're wired differently, we view love differently. So this one we're talking about, men's top need is respect versus women's top need of love. So think about, when it comes to respect, being respected is at the core of a man's self-esteem, which affects every area of our lives. That is some important information to know right there. So how do you show your man respect? I'm glad you asked. So to show respect to your man, number one, you have to be understanding of his value and achievements more than anyone else. More than anyone else, you have to understand his value and his achievements. And so this is very important. And so, ladies, do not ever let another woman out compliment your man. Okay. Do not let that happen. You should be the biggest cheerleader on his team. I don't care if you don't have a pot to piss in, or whatever they used to say. You chose him, and so you need to make sure you become his biggest cheerleader. You continually put the value in him, let him know that he is great and he's going to accomplish great things for sure. So very important. That shows a respect. That's how men, that's how we receive respect. There's nothing, it helps us when we do that, when you guys do that to us, right? And so you got to remind him of his capabilities and, help maintain his self-confidence. So, just pay attention to him when he's talking and communicating, when he have ideas and stuff like that, and just continually reminding him of these ideas. That's an awesome idea. And you're going to make that happen. That's going to, when that happens, that's going to change our lives, or that's going to be great, or it's going to do wonderful things. You have to do that. You don't be the opposite. Like, oh, you ain't gonna do that, or you don't never do nothing. You don't never finish nothing. Oh Lord. Don't be that one. Okay. Don't be that one. So, and that's how you show respect. Another way to show respect is be proud of your husband and not out of duty, right? It has to be sincere. It has to be sincere that you truly are proud of him, because you should be. If you picked him, if you decided to pick this guy to spend the rest of your life with, then you should be proud. You should be happy of him and proud. And so you have to let him know that you're proud, and you can, and you just show it, even if you just tell him like, hey, babe, I'm so proud of you. You're working hard. You're doing the best you can. And that's why I picked you. That's why we're together. I feel so good that we're together. You have to constantly feed that self-esteem. A lot of times it's hard enough with men trying to survive out here as it is, and then we're getting looked over for jobs, or stepped on, or abused and at work, and all these different things, and we don't want to come home and feel that same pressure you know so again, we're talking about the top needs of men and women. First one we went through was love for women, and then respect for men. Right. All right. Let's go into the next one we got. This is a good one too. Women, again, these are needs. This is meaning, this is something, it's not a request, it's not a suggestion. These are needs in order to function, right? Women need conversation. I laugh because I know that applies to my wife. Boy, she needs a lot of conversation. And so we have to make it a point as men to and again, that goes along with communication. It goes along with communicating. Make it a point to communicate with your wife regularly, and not just, letting her talk, not just letting her talk while you watch TV and push the button. Sometimes you might have to turn it off, or you might have to pause it, and then sometimes, my wife don't know. Sometimes I go back and and I had to replay the video I was watching, because I was tuned in and listening to her. And so that's what's important, that you make eye contact, and you know and talk back and forth, understanding. And it's not, and they say it's not just not solving problems. You're not trying to solve a problem. You're just simply acknowledging, what she's saying, and giving your uh, understanding in whatever the situation, unless of course she asked you to solve the problem. But it's just important, that's a need for a woman to be able to communicate with her man, with her spouse. And so that is a big problem with men, because sometimes men could go all day without talking. We could go, and it would be a good day. I'm telling you, we could go all day without saying a word, 2 or 3 words to anybody, and you'd be like, "Hey, how was your day?" It was great. It was awesome. What did you do? Nothing. So, but obviously, women are wired differently. Their characteristics are different, and so they have to communicate. Yes, Raquel says just being present in the conversation. Yep, that is important. Hopefully, by being present in the conversation, you mean making eye to eye contact, and listening and giving feedback, not just being there. You have to definitely make sure that, you're repeating and showing that you understand. So, but yes, it's important that because they want to they want to share their day with us. Where a man, because my wife had asked me, I'm telling you, I could have had 1,200 people come at me mad at the office, and then you know, left, right in the car, almost get hit 3 different times, you know, drive through a storm, and I pull up in the house and I sit down and she be like, "How was your day?" "Oh, it was good." It was okay. That's just how some men are. That's how I am. That's how I am. And so I just don't really keep those things. I don't carry those things with me, So therefore, that's why I don't talk about it. For me personally, I just don't. That's just how I am. But women are different. Women, they tend to remember, almost every aspect of their day that, maybe they got upset or something good happens or whatever the situation is. And so it's a buildup and they want to be able to release it and talk to them, talk to us when they get home. And so they don't want to be, they don't talk to the side of our face while we're watching TV. They want to talk right here, straight up. And so we have to be paying attention. Again, it's a need, not a request. So we're talking about having a healthy, long, life lasting relationship. You have to provide these needs. Again, only thing I can relate it to is a car. If you want that car to last long, you take it to get that oil changed every 2 or 3 months, and you make sure there's gas in it at the gas station. So you do that. So you already showing that you care about that car. So we have to provide the same needs to our spouse, right? And in order for them to function properly as well. So let's talk about the men's next need. Again, we call it recreational activity. And so I know women sometimes they can't understand this, but the men, the way we're wired, the way we're geared is to be protectors. And so in order to be a protector and a leader, it comes with some level of aggressiveness. And so a lot of times we just women have to understand that. And so sometimes that all that pressure or whatnot builds out and it gets released in sports. Sometimes they get released watching a football game, and because when we're, watching the game, sometimes we're in the game playing. Like when our favorite team do something and he cut back, he cut here and he scored a touchdown. Yeah, it's almost like we did it, like we scored. And so that's part of how we're created. And so a lot of times women don't understand that. And they're like, oh, why are you always watching the game? Or why are you always playing basketball? Or why are you always doing this? Or why are you always doing that? And so that reason is because, let me see, there was a lag a little bit, but now it's back on. Okay. And so the reason that is because that's how we're wired as men. And so coincidentally, as a woman, when you have a need for conversation, sometimes if you talk about some of the things that interest men, that might help as well. Like if you're talking about some sports or some of those things. I know a lot of women don't know much about sports, but sometimes you can come in and watch the game with them and be like, yo, what are they doing? Why are they kicking the ball? That might be a bad time to ask though. But anyhow. My cousin Jeanette say she got some big characteristics. That's right. She be when her team playing, she in the game playing. So and again, both of these characteristics in both ways, they go both ways. You have some women that's wired like that too. And so, but you just have to understand that men is just how we're built. We're built. And so just understanding that, getting out with the fellas, making a lot of noise, joking around, and just doing stuff like that. It's just how we are. Right. So number three for women, right? These are just the top three. Number three for women is affection. We talked a little bit about affection when it comes to love, because affection is under that umbrella of love, but showing affection, right? In addition to, calling and, saying that, I love you, or I'm just checking on you and doing things like that. affection has to do with, is actually like laying groundwork. Just think the word affection is applying effects, right? You applying effects in order to get an action. No, I'm just playing. But anyhow, but yeah, so again, this is a need. It's a need. And so, sometimes guys we don't think about that. We at work, we working hard, and but we have to think about these things. We have to be able to do the same. We have to be able to provide these things to our spouse in order for them to function. And a lot of times one way I'm on the women's team because I'm a guy. But anyhow, and so again, you can be affectionate. You show that car affection. You get out there and wash the car and make sure it's clean and take it to the gas station and put them rims on it and look at it and like, ooh, look at you. That thing look nice. Look, that's what I'm talking about. Well, we have it in us. So we just have to direct it towards our spouse as well. Baby, you look nice today, or I love you, sweetheart. Or give her a call, buy some flowers, you know, also, do some chivalrous things, open the door for her, or, put a chair over, pull out the chair for her. All these things show affection, kissing, holding hands, right? Holding hands when walk into the grocery store. Sometimes I know it's hard for some men to do, but it just shows affection. You might have a girl that she not into that, and so that's fine. But I can guarantee that there is a way that you can show affection that she's going to reciprocate and that she need, because it's a need. It's a need. Making sure that you do those things. And affection, men, coincidentally, men's top need number 3 is sex, right? And so sex is not affection, not sometimes it's the result, but a lot of men, again, if we're judging through our own perspective, then a lot of times when you know trying to meet our own personal needs, like having sex, we can think that her needs was met the same time, but that's not the case because they're wired different. And so what happens is, you can leave a woman, she could be unhappy, unfulfilled, even though, you was happy with the experience, but she's not because she didn't receive the full affection that she wants. Could be, talking to her. She had some stuff that she wanted to tell you or communicate. But men, because we have such a high drive and it's such a high need, we just, we try to get right to it. And so a lot of times it causes a huge conflict in relationships. We thinking that just because, we sleeping together, or we having a good time in bed, that's what, that she's happy. But that's not the case. That's not the case. You have to apply all these effects, all these other effects in order for her to be fulfilled. And it's not just fulfilled sexually, it's just fulfilled, period, because it's a need. And so that's why it's important. And so those definitely are the some of the top needs when it comes to men and women. And so you want to make sure that, hopefully you can always go back and play this again and learn what they are, because it's very, very important that we apply these things if we want to have healthy relationships. You want to have a healthy marriage, long lasting marriage. You want to make sure that you apply some of these characteristics, and I guarantee you'll have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful relationship, beautiful marriage, just like my cousin Jeanette, 24 years. It's like mine, 8 years. We're on 8 years, going on 24, going on 50. That's right. I'm telling you, it ain't a day that I don't wake up and realize how blessed and how lucky and how awesome my marriage is and my wife is. And a lot of that is just because of me understanding, is for me understanding as a leader, cultivating the right, environment, not trying to be, overpowering or abusive or over leading or whatever the situation is. You just make sure that environment is full of love and affection. And so it's just important. In fact, I'm gonna tell you just a little secret I did. So what I did was, these are some stamps in her office. She probably paying attention. This is some stamps in her office. And what I did was, whenever she go to use it, she's gonna get there and it's gonna have a nice little note, a nice little love note on there, dog. Yeah, maybe hide it. So, but this is just stuff like that. There's stuff like that you do. You just lay the groundwork. And so some of you guys might have to change your mindset. You might have to change your mindset. You're gonna have to grow into it and just really, really, cultivate the relationship, because it's not gonna happen on its own. You have to cultivate this thing and mold it into this beautiful relationship. And I'm telling you, it'll be awesome. 8 years of fly past, 8 more years of fly past, and it'll be 24 years before you know it. Like, oh my gosh, where has the time been? We've been having fun all this time. Because I don't want to be those type of, oh man, I've seen them. I've seen those people, they dread going home. It's not me. I can't wait to get home for sure. All right. So I did have one more topic. But now this is going long too, so I'm just going ahead and finish it anyways. Uh, this one was, it's funny that I met this guy, right? A friend of mine, I ain't gonna submit his name, but so anyway, he was going through some relationship issues, and so I was like, "Well, tell me what's going on, man." He was like, "All right, man, I'm just gonna tell you the truth." And so I was like, "Well, what's going on?" And so he said he's going back and forth between, because he wants I think it's a polygamy relationship. I don't even know how you say this word, right? And so versus a monogamous relationship. And so obviously the difference is a man that has more than one wife. And so it got me to thinking, because he was like, man, I've traveled and I've seen this in other countries and it worked out good in other countries. And I'm like, no, no, no. First of all, that's not the original design. It's not the original design to be with more than one wife. The original design was one man and one woman coming together to become one. And so again, it's like that car we talked about earlier. Like, there's specific instructions that follow that car, right? You get it. There's an instruction manual that teach you everything everything about this car. It needs this. It needs, you got to make sure the tire pressure is here. You got to make sure you got these size tires. You got to make sure you have oil. You got to make sure you have gas and all these different things in order for the car to function properly. And so it's the same thing with marriage. Marriage is the institution that was created by God. So he gave us instructions on how to follow it. And so the problem is when man comes in and give his own interpretation of the institution of marriage. And so that's how you get all these different type of marriages where, one man, multiple wives, or one wife, multiple men, and stuff like that. And that stuff does happen. And so that's where a lot of the problems come. If you read throughout the Bible and learn that all the men that have more than one wives, they've created issues. It has an issue. And so again, when you try to apply your own wisdom or your own characteristics to something that's already been created, then that's when it causes a problem. Think about it. Your car takes gas, right? If you decide, you know what, I'm not gonna put gas in here, I'm gonna put orange juice in my tank because I think it's cheaper, or I'm gonna put water in my tank, right? If you make that decision and you go against the design of the car, then you're gonna damage the car.
And so it's the same thing when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriage, is that when we start going against the design of the marriage is when we start having problems. And so just looking at the difference between the two, there's a lot of issues that come out of, you know, having a polygamous relationship, if I'm saying it right. I don't even care to say the word right, anyways. Anyhow, and so some of the things that I look, first of all, um, the when you have a monogamous relationship, it's more beneficial to both parties. And so there's less poverty when it comes to a monogamous relationship versus the other relationship. Just thinking about it, we already see those relationships now. We already see men that have kids in multiple different households. And so for them to try to take care or keep up with all those kids is hard. Is there how can you be a strong and provide a strong structure and support emotionally for a child if you in two or three different homes, even in other different homes? It's not. It's you can't do it. You can't do it effectively. Let me put it that way. You can't and do it effectively, and so is you taking a risk of that child not reaching its potential. So again, there's nothing cut in stone. You know, obviously some kids could rise through anything and become great in this world, but there's a higher percentage of a emotional damage when you live in that lifestyle. And so in the monogamous relationships, two people are equal. Think about that. There's two people are equal. When two people become one, they become equal. And so they become an equal partner. If you have more than one wife, then there is no equal partner. They it almost in a sense become like property. Like I'll be with this one, then I'll be with this one, and you're choosing which one you want to do. And so that's damaging, you know, when it comes to self-esteem. Just imagine that, you know, that it'll create low self-esteem, depression, all those things. And we know that inside they're all connected. Depression, low self-esteem, drug abuse, suicide, you know, all those things are connected. And so these are all the problems that arise from having those type of relationship. I hope he's listening too. If he's listening, I hope so. That way he can learn some of this stuff. Anyway, so those are just some of the major factors that I see. And so I fully support the monogamous one man, one wife. That's the best way to be. It's less stress, it's less money. We always heard the term, it's cheaper to keep her, well, it's wiser to be with just one. So think about that. It's cheaper to keep her and wiser to just have one. And so you definitely want to make sure that you make the right decision when it comes to your life. We know, and it's just selfish. We're no longer, we have to come out of that selfishness and realize that the relationships that we in is not for our benefit. The benefits, the happiness and benefits that we get are side effects, but the reason that we have these strong relationships is for society. We're trying to build a strong society, strong kids emotionally, physically, and you we can't do that with broken relationships. We have to have good solid relationships. And that's the whole purpose of this topic today, is to try to teach and share in order to motivate you guys and to, again, have good, solid relationships. That way you can have an impact on society. So, again, I am so blessed to be here speaking to you guys. And I thank everybody that chimed in. Mama Debbie, I love you. Jeanette Cuzzo, you know I love you. Raquel, I love you. That's my girl. Matthew, I don't. That's my dude. I appreciate you chiming in, and everybody else that came in. Telly, Jimmy. Again, don't forget to check us out on Family Talk tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. If you up, chime in. You can find us on. I'm gonna have to get some links. You can find us on YouTube for sure. We're every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Also, I'm here every Friday night at 7 p.m. The Impact Podcast Show. Make sure you tune in next week on the 16th. I have the big homie Sam Young. Sam Young, he used to be an NBA player for about 4 or 5 years. He played for 3 different teams. He played overseas. He's over in this area. He's buying he's an entrepreneur now, so we're gonna talk to him, find out all about his journey, how he got to where he's how he got to where he is today, and all that stuff. So, and then after that, the week after that, I have the lovely, talented Alexis Love. She's gonna be on the show finally. We're gonna talk about her accomplishments. She was in recently inducted into the Murray State Hall of Fame for track and field. She just had a new baby, a son. I think his name is Jax. So we definitely want to bring her in. And so I got some more stuff that I'm trying to work out to get some more people on the show. I love doing interviews. I love doing interviews and showing you guys other people that's out here having an impact. Being on here by myself, talking all day is really difficult, but I just do it because I like to. All right. So again, until the next time, peace. I'm going to go ahead and hit the outro video. See you on the next one.